Dr. Bishwa sir is also joined us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
We have our principal, officiating principal, Dr. Maria Goretti Simois. Ma'am has also joined.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Maria.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for having accepted our
It's a
invite.
pleasure.
Dr. Kalpesh Kumar
Thank you.
Gupta has helped us immensely for organizing this FDP. Welcome on board. And of course, Dr. Bishwa, who would be actually beginning this session one for the first day of the FDP.
Thank you, ma'am.
Warm welcome to all of you all on my behalf.
Thank you. Thank you.
So should we begin, ma'am?
Yeah, we'll start. Shruti will start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all on behalf of VVM's Govind Ramnath Kare College of Law and Law Teachers India. On behalf of Kare Law College and Law Teachers India, I, Dr. Shruti Nadkarni, Assistant Professor and HOD of GR Kare College of Law and the coordinator for this FTP, welcome you all for this inaugural session of 7-day faculty development program on advanced and emerging trends in academic research writing and publication. This FDP is jointly organized by our institution, that is GR Kare College of Law and Law Teachers India. And the main objective of this FDP was to enhance the academic writing skill of faculty or research scholars and students, and to enable them to resort to ethical practices of publication. So we begin on a journey of 7-day sessions, 7-day long sessions of academic pursuit in the world of academic writing. To kickstart this process, we have for the inaugural ceremony very eminent personality, Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, former founding Vice Chancellor and founding Dean of School of Law, RV University, Bangalore. So we are indeed privileged to have you here, and it's an honor that you accepted our invitation for this inaugural ceremony. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Bishwa Das, who's going to be our resource person for the first session, which will start immediately after the inaugural ceremony. And also our very own partner in this faculty development program, Advocate Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, who is also founding Chief Administrator of Law Teachers India. So welcome to you also. So without further ado, I would like to request our principal, Dr. Maria Goretti Simois, to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shruti. Hope I am audible to all.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So a very good afternoon. And on behalf of GR Kare College of Law and Law Teachers India, I would like to welcome all the participants, the students, the research scholars for this 7-day faculty development program on an important topic which is well planned and thought of: the emerging trends in academic research writing and publications. So it is basically an important topic for not only the faculty and the students, but also the research scholars and for all, because I believe that learning is it's a continuous process. I also accord a warm welcome to our distinguished chief guest, Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, former founding Vice Chancellor and founding Dean, School of Law, RV University, Bengaluru. Sir, we are indeed privileged to have you amongst our midst, although not in a physical mode, which we would love to invite you in our college, but virtually. Thank you. As Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta has rightly said, that this invite was extended to your good self at the last minute, and you have not let us down. You have accepted it with great privilege, and we are honored to have you amongst our midst. Thank you very much, sir, and a warm welcome to you as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. We also would like to welcome our distinguished resource person for technical session 1, Dr. Bishwa Das, Assistant Professor of the National Forensic Sciences University, Gandhinagar. Dr. Bishwa Das, we are extremely privileged to have you amongst our midst, and definitely so you would do a good job and justice to this FDP on academic research writing and publication. So, on behalf of my faculty and on my own behalf, I welcome you at this particular forum. Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
joining us.
Thank you.
Well, the welcome, it's basically become a vote of thanks, but I'm here to welcome all of you all. I would also like to welcome our partner in this FDP, Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, Chief Administrator of the Law Teachers India. He has also struggled with us to bring the topmost brains, which are basically the resource persons in this particular field, before us through this FDP. Obviously, we are host, but as a host, I would also like to welcome and thank Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta for having extended this particular hand of
Thank you.
association with our college. Thank you so much, Dr. Kalpesh
Thank you,
Kumar
ma'am.
Gupta.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, so I feel that this particular exercise that we have jointly organized will be a fruitful exercise of 7 days. And when we go back home, we will definitely put all the things that we have learned through this 7 day platform into use. So, without further ado, I wish all the participants from all over India, from the state and otherwise, a very best and a fulfilling and an enriching experience. So I hand over back to the coordinator, Dr. Shruti Natkarni, to do the honors. Thank you and have a nice time.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for setting the right tone for our 7 day FTP. As I already said, we are indeed privileged to have among us Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, former founding Vice Chancellor and founding Dean, School of Law, RV University, Bengaluru, as a chief guest for today's inaugural ceremony of this faculty development program. Sir, we are indeed privileged to have you here and to address the gathering and to tell them something more about Sir, I would like to briefly introduce Sir to this gathering. Professor Y.S.R. Murthy has 4 decades of rich and varied experience in academia, civil service, media, autonomous statutory bodies, and non-governmental organization at national and international levels. He is a passionate institution builder, educator, and is deeply interested in human rights related issues. He was a founding Vice Chancellor of RV University, Bengaluru, and is founding Dean, School of Law. Prior to it, he had worked as a founding faculty member and a registrar of O.P. Jindal Global University, Sonipat, for 11 years, between 2009 to 2020, and contributed to its rapid growth. He also held many responsible positions in the National Human Rights Commission, Ministry of Finance, Prime Minister's Office, President's Secretariat, and Cabinet Secretariat. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree in statistics from University of Madras, MA degree in human rights from University of London, and PhD degree from Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. He secured university first rank in MSc and is recipient of prestigious British Chevening Fellowship. He is the recipient of Chanakya National Award 2023 for Excellence in Education, instituted by Public Relations Council of India, the Bangalore Management Association Education Excellence Award 2023, and several other awards. He serves on the Board of Management of Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya Haridwar, Presidential Forum of IC3 Worldwide Movement, Management Committee of Association for the Mentally Challenged, and President of Rotary E-Club of Bangalore for 24-25. Sir, we are indeed very privileged to have you amongst us today, and we could not have any other person better than you to kickstart this entire 7 day FDP on academic writing and academic research writing and publication. So, sir, I would like to request you to kindly take over and enlighten our gathering on the research writing.
Thank you. A Principal, G.R. Kare College of Law, Dr. Maria, Chief Administrator, Law Teachers India, and my esteemed friend, Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, and FTP Coordinator, Dr. Shruti, Dr. Bishwa Kalyan Dash, research scholars and students, a warm good afternoon to everyone. I wish to thank G.R. Kare College of Law and Law Teachers India for giving me this honor of speaking to you at the inaugural session of your 7-day faculty development program on advanced and emerging trends in academic research writing. While different experts will speak to you on various facets, my attempt will be to act as a starter and whet your appetite on this subject, and in the process, lay the context and also highlight the significance of the overall faculty development program. I wish to reflect on my own journey and how research helped me immensely while I was working. The topic given to me is the role of research in shaping public policy. If public policy needs to be sound, it must be rooted in credible data, authentic data, reliable data, and also evidence based research. I will just cite a few instances. The current Chief Justice of India, Mr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, several years back when he was Judge of the Supreme Court, referred to a research study conducted by the Jindal Global Law School, and in particular a research center on health, law, ethics about HIV/AIDS in Haryana as a part of his judgment. Now, before I go further, at first I would like to take up the significance of research for an academic who is undergoing the current faculty development program. Teaching drives research, but as you teach, you develop certain research questions. You would like to test some hypotheses, and you would like to find answers for some of the practical challenges or problems that confront you. So, in a way, as you teach, it in turn drives research, and the reverse is also true. The research in turn drives teaching. The moment you research a number of topics, the moment you come abreast of the latest developments, your teaching will obviously go up in terms of its standard, in terms of its content, in terms of its quality. So both teaching drives research, and research in turn drives teaching. Recently, there had been some attempts by the Government of India, Ministry of Education, for reforming the accreditation process. In fact, the NAC constituted a committee, the Radhakrishnan committee, and in that committee there was a need felt for separately dealing teaching universities, research universities, teaching cum research universities, multidisciplinary research intensive university or MERU, specialized university on a separate footing. And or when you compare a research university, it has to be compared with another research only, and a teaching university needs to be compared with another teaching university and not with a specialized university. So this point is of course well taken, but you cannot become a good teacher unless you are a good researcher also and keep exploring the frontiers of knowledge. In fact, unfortunately, today, if you look at the Indian higher education scenario, there are very few islands of excellence. Many institutions are uh, teaching institutions, and as a result, we are not making a huge mark in the international rankings. We every year we lose um, thousands of students who go for higher education in US, UK, Europe, Canada, Australia, and other countries. If only our institutions have the research infrastructure, if only our institutions are at the forefront of knowledge creation, if only our institutions are focused on research right from um, undergrad level upwards, things would be far different. And we will, instead of losing students to other countries, we will indeed be attracting students from other countries. For example, today, if you look at the number of international students who are pursuing their education in India, mostly they are from South Asian countries, Nepal, Bangladesh, could be Sri Lanka, and a few African countries. And but India can be a Vishwaguru. India can be attract students, quality students from across the world, provided it becomes a research intensive one, provided our institutions focus on research, particularly cutting edge research. Now, let me go back to my earlier topic of significance of research for a academic. If you don't want to wish to become obsolete, embrace research fully. In some discipline, like for example, computer science, etc., the technological change is so drastic that there is a need to update curriculum constantly so that we can meet market needs and that our graduates have required skills. For instance, as we are into a current semester, a bug can develop in the app. Like Microsoft recently had a major downtime which affected the airline operations across the world. And if computer science students, cyber security students, all of them need to be abreast, the curriculum needs to be abreast of such challenges. So there are some disciplines where the, in fact, leave alone year to year curriculum changes. It has to be even semester by semester curriculum changes so that our institutions can produce the graduates with required knowledge and skills required for the 21st century. Now, looking back at my own experience, I worked in National Human Rights Commission. Initially, I went as a deputy secretary research, then headed the research in the policy research programs division. And in that process, I came across one action research study on trafficking in women and children. For instance, you are all aware of the trafficking between states and between countries. But it was once it was recognized as a major problem, and the National Human Rights Commission partnered with UNIFEM, which is a organization working for women worldwide, and also Institute of Social Sciences, and undertook this research on the trends of trafficking. For instance, trafficking can be for begging, trafficking can be for commercial sexual exploitation, trafficking of women and children can be for even camel jockeying and many, many other purposes. So the trends of their trafficking, intrastate trafficking, and intercountry trafficking, and then the baseline studies on relief and rehabilitation efforts, etc., were needed to be done. And this action research study had many, many positive spin offs. Nodal officers were appointed in different states to deal with on the civil side as well as on the police side. Some sensitization workshops happened for lawyers, judges, prosecutors, police personnel, border security force agencies, and some manuals got developed. And I- okay, and there were many such positive spin-offs. Now this opened my mind to a tremendous possibilities for research. Now reflecting on my own experience, in 98 99 I went to University of London as a British chevening scholar and did my masters in human rights. And during the part of that course there was a dissertation I had to do, and I picked up that time, 1998 July, the Rome Statute for International Criminal Court was adopted. So my topic for dissertation was the Rome Statute for ICC, whether it was a historic step or delusion, a critical evaluation of the Rome Statute. So, and the moment I returned, I published it in the Indian Society of International Law's journal and ISIL journal, and it was one of the earliest articles on ICC. And to tell you the spin-off for me as an academic, as a civil servant, I was invited by so many institutions like Indian Law Institute, Indian Society of International Law, Jamia, Afro-Asian Legal Consultative Organization, ALCO, UN High Commissioner for Refugees, International Committee of Red Cross, and within a year and a half or so, I was able to earn a sum of rupees 2 to 3 lakh rupees only by giving lectures on the Rome Statute for International Criminal Court, and that helped me develop a keen interest in teaching and research and in academia, and I jumped into OP Jindal Global University, and thereafter I never looked back. Today, if I am a vice chancellor, just till about 4 years, I was a vice chancellor at RV University, Bangalore. I'm on my way. I'm transitioning to as a vice chancellor designate of the Assam Royal Global University for a much longer term, and I'm taking up the opportunity on 5th of September. So today, research has put me on a firm footing. For instance, once there was a conference that was being conducted at the City University of Hong Kong on death penalty. I prepared a proposal and sent a paper on role of national human rights institutions in the abolition of death penalty in Asia, and I was invited there and I presented my paper there. Thereafter, there was a Professor Roger Hood from the University of Oxford, who is regarded as a authority on death penalty. He brought out a book, edited book, which had the all the papers that were presented during the conference, and that book got published. It was published by the Oxford University Press UK, and a lot of people across the world saw the book, saw the articles, and I was invited by the government of Norway, by the University of Oslo, when the World Congress on the abolition of death penalty in Norway was organized, with all my expenses paid, to and fro, air, stay for 1 week, everything was paid. And here was a research paper that was presented and got published, and it opened many doors for me as a researcher. When I was going to Norway for this World Congress, the Asia Pacific Forum of National Human Rights Institutions got excited in my work, and they asked me to deliver another lecture there. So this is a so if you do a research, lot of doors can open to you. You do not know, people are reading the articles that get published in the journals, and people notice them, and then people get rewarded as well. For instance, I had worked on refugees while I was part of the National Human Rights Commission. I was called by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees as an independent expert to participate in a conference in Geneva, and the invitation letter came from the head of the UNHCR, Antonio Guterres, who is now currently the UN Secretary General. Sometimes the results are not apparent, but as you do research, as you pursue it passionately, people notice it and people invite you for sharing your thoughts, sharing your insights, sharing your perspectives. You have all heard of publish or perish. You cannot publish without a proper research or academic writing skills. In fact, these some of these academic writing skills can accrue to you only by reading more and more journal articles. Once you understand the style, once you understand the citation, once you familiarize yourself, then only you can read, then only you can write more effectively. And while on this topic, interdisciplinarity is extremely critical. When did we last publish? When I make this question, I include myself among each one of you. I am a teacher, and so are all of us. So we need to reflect, when did we last publish? When did we last have a conversation with a person outside our discipline, be it a historian, sociologist, political scientist, anthropologist, philosopher, to mention some disciplines? When did we explore the idea of a joint article with them or a joint research with them? Explored the intersection of law with technology. Today, of course, there is a talk by Dr. Bishwa Kalyan Das. So there are many interesting possibilities. So have we explored the intersection of law with media, law and economics, law and sports, law and medicine, law and music, to mention but a few disciplines? When did we take a research related faculty development program on Coursera or other online platforms? This is a digital age, and the current one is a decade. We are teachers in a digital era. In the age of Google, ChatGPT, Khan Academy, Coursera, students have access to a plenty of information, sometimes more than what we teachers have. What we teachers require is a development of a holistic perspective after synthesizing and after assimilation of various ideas. Research can help us develop that perspective and be ahead of students and peers. Vidhi Center for Legal Studies, PRS Legislative Research, Center for Policy Research, CPR, Observer Research Foundation, Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis of India, Council for Social Development, Council for Study of Developing Societies. There are many such think tanks. Are we following their work? Are we following the research that is being conducted by them? How much of action research are we currently undertaking? The opportunities for collaboration with some of the institutions I mentioned are endless, and so are funding opportunities. When did we last get a research grant from the Ministry of Law and Justice, Parliament of India, Women and Child Development, Law Commission of India, Department of Science and Technology, ICSSR? Are there many other national and international research funding agencies? Here we have a unique opportunity to hone our research skills and go up in the career ladder. Here, I want to mention, you take NAC, NIRF, QS, Times Higher Education. In every such ranking or accreditation metric, you will find research as an important metric wielding considerable weightage. People look at research, people look at citations, H index, I index, etc. So this is a very important in itself. We have a unique opportunity to hone our research skills and go up in the career ladder. Opportunity has hair in the front and behind it is bald. If you miss it, there's an opportunity cost. It will not come again. As one of my friends says, opportunity is like a Britannia Marie biscuit dipped in tea. You have to seize it quickly or else you have lost it. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish all academics, all teachers and participants a wonderful training program and the hosts, GR Kare College, Law Teachers India, a huge success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very enlightening address in a very simple language. And that has really set a right tone for this entire FDP that we are going to have over next 7 days. Thank you very much for your own personal examples. We have it is a good learning for us to learn from your examples, and I hope even if we are able to emulate even certain things from what you have achieved, it will be a great success in our lives. Now, to propose a formal vote of thanks, I would like to request Advocate Kalpesh Kumar Gupta to do the honors. Sir, over
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Shruti. So I'm not practicing. I'm a law teacher. I don't call some, sometimes I call law professor, but I'm a law teacher. That's why I put law teachers India, not law professor India. Yesterday I prepare, that create a community group. So somebody suggested do it for law professors in that way. So that is fine. Law teachers India, that is a good one. So, so thank you very much, Sir Murthy, sir, for your valuable time for joining this, this inauguration session. And then the most important part is when to, like for example, we have to keep looking at the what's happening new in society. Right? That's why you learn new things. You came in India, and because of that, got a lot of opportunity. Roam all over the India and then gave the lecture. So I keep connecting, like for example, our research part, like why one should read your paper, your work. So I keep connecting with the patent. Like patent is granted for non-obviousness, novelty, non-obviousness, and then utility. There are three things that for that patent is granted. Same thing. If your paper is good, new thing, not available or useful, then definitely people will refer those things. Second part, I would say, like when, for example, most of the law teachers, forget about law teachers, all teachers are there busy in teaching only, like 80% they keep teaching. But I keep suggesting, like we should, like one third we should go for teaching, one third research, and one third training for the overall development. Then and then we can flourish in that particular area wherever we are into. Another part, like I work in IIM Ahmedabad. It was the first time I work in academics, so I learned ABCD of academics at IIM Ahmedabad. So you rightly stated, sir, like the interdisciplinary research. So I wrote a paper with they were different. I was a part of center business policy area. It's called strategy area, and there are IT area, human resource, organization behavior area, and then communication area. So I wrote paper with communication guy also, organizational behavior also, HR also, marketing also. So that was very good. Kalpesh tune likha hai, so please, so I also learned ABCD of writing. Otherwise, that was a tendency, do Google and copy paste. And then that was the thing. Again, not good, I would say. Still, I've been learning a lot of things. And then because of support from all over the India, we have been doing various. It's all whatever work that all the law teachers are saying. It's not my job. It's a teamwork. Student member and faculty member all over the India, they are contributing to making the qualitative, I would say, contribution from the law teachers. So last 1 year, sir, you actually, like we have been organizing various programs. So we did one month refresher course, how to teach, like a strategy for teaching law in 21st century, and then legal research methodology also we did for 3 weeks, for IPR legal research methodology. So we did this program did. So I had a talk with Dr. Shruti approach me, sir, kuch plan karte hai, right? So 4-5 months back, so exam was going on, then vacation happens, and then after this, the semester opened. So we had a talk. She, prepared a draft. So we discussed. Because this is a very good title. Like it's an emerging trend. Not because legal research methodology, a lot of things are happening. So she picked out, different essential topic. That's the advanced versions of research methodology, I would say. And then I suggested, like friends, they are all. Dr. Bishwa is here. So I suggested that all the known people who will say yes on one call or a message, so they are there. So because of that, all things happening, and then I approach you, sir, 2 days back for this particular program, and the participants also from all over the India, like resource scholars are also there. So I hope you'll get a lot of benefit out of this program. It's very essential, like not uh, already you have learned or will be learning, like research methodology part or legal research methodology in future course of actions. So I wish all the participant great learning experience in this one week. Once again, I'm grateful to YSR Murthy sir for gracing various of this occasion, and thankful to Dr. Bishwa also joining, and Dr. Maria, Dr. Suti for giving me this opportunity. I'm here to like Law Teachers India. I'm not a guest or anything. I am just for working something, contributing, pushing the law teacher fraternity forwards. Over to Dr. Suti.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to once again thank Dr. YSR Murthy for accepting our invitation and gracing occasion of inaugural ceremony. And now it is about time that we start with our session one. Session one of us, the resource person for session one is Dr. The session one is on topic legal research and AI, and the resource person we have is Dr. Bishwa Kalyan Das. Sir is already with us, and sir, thank you very much for joining us from the inaugural ceremony onwards. And we are very pleased to have you, sir, with us on such an important topic. So we begin with session one. I don't know why there is an echo.
Sorry, अपना mic. Same जगह mic होगा, so please switch off.
Kindly keep your mic off.
Yeah. Okay. For this session, every session, participants, please note, we will have a session coordinator for every session. And for today's session, we have Miss Ruby Lewis as session coordinator. She's an assistant professor from J.R. Kare College of Law. We will begin with the session with some ground rules. Please keep your camera and mics muted, and also kindly cooperate with us throughout the FDP for smooth functioning of this FDP. We will begin with session one with session coordinator, Miss Ruby Lewis. Over to you, Ruby.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti, and a very good evening to all. It is my proud privilege to introduce the resource person for today's first session on the topic Legal Research and Artificial Intelligence of the Faculty Development Program, Sir Dr. Bishwa Kalyan Das. Sir has been working as an assistant professor in the senior grade at the National Forensic Sciences University in Gandhinagar and has a strong academic background in law with a focus on teaching and research. Sir holds more than 10 years of experience in legal education, having taught at various prestigious institutions of India, imparting legal education. His areas of expertise include environmental law, human rights, cyber law, and sports law. Dr. Das holds a PhD in environmental law from the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences and an LLM in human rights from National Law School of India University, Bangalore. He completed his undergraduate studies in law at the University Law College, Vani Vihar, Utkal University, Odisha. Sir has attended numerous professional courses and workshops, enhancing his skills in cyber laws, biodiversity laws, and moot court training. He has a rich experience in delivering guest lectures and expert talks at various national and international conferences, seminars, and workshops. Dr. Das is a member of the Project Implementation Committee of the MHA at the NCRB for the implementation of the 3 new criminal laws. He is playing a key role in the terms of legal consultancy in the areas of forensic and law for the Government of India as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs. We welcome you, sir, to the session,
Thank you so
and
much,
over
ma'am.
to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I would just take this opportunity to thank Madam Principal Simos and Dr. Shruti, Dr. Kalpesh. And it was absolute a delight to hear Murthy sir as an inaugural address that sir has actually set the tone for us. I would be taking you through, like, the moment I got this topic, legal research and artificial intelligence by Dr. Shruti, I got dragged into some of the deja vu feelings that I was having being a student of Professor Ajappa, and who is well known for his research and the quality of research that he always expects. And being a student, I always thought that he was a man with great conviction to the traditional methods of research. But my topic for today is the modern day methods of research. And how do we do justice between both the two? I'll give you a contrasting view between what he used to teach us and what we are teaching right now to the students. And that is how we'll try to sail through the topic legal research and artificial intelligence. I'll be giving you short stories in between so that we can get connected, because I don't have a presentation, but I will definitely share pointers with all of you through Dr. Shruti that I would be discussing so that you can refer as and when you want. It's the time of 2011 when I stepped into National Law School, Bangalore, and the very first paper was dumped on us, that is research methodology, and it was not just a common subject for us. Me being a student coming from a traditional law school, having no exposure to research, but still I have to deal with Professor Ajappa and the course research methodology. Whenever I used to have any sorts of doubt, he used to have a standard answer to all my queries, because it's a teacher-student relationship that we used to share. And that relationship was enabling me to ask questions to my professor. But my professor had one standard answer to all my questions. That is, I don't know. Go to the library, find an answer. This has been his answer for the next 2 years of my association being a student of his. Now, I, having no exposure to finding out a book on the shelves in the library, to find out the right thing that could possibly give me a solution to my questions, because that question is motivating me to do a research, rather to do a search, not research, I would not say at this point. But when I used to go to the library, I used to be like doing an activity to find that needle in the shack of hugs. Now, when I was trying to do that, I always used to come back to my professor. Now, that is something very important to point out. I always used to come back to my professor. Even though I was from a traditional law school, I was not having any shame to come back to my professor. That's why I did not get it. Would you please help me? He got so irritated with me, let me tell you, because I could feel that. He took my whole batch on a library tour for one day. One day he took us to the library tour for all the batch of mine, and he asked us to go to each and every shelf, read the catalog, take out a book of my choice, and read the content of the book starting from the cover page to the last page. And that's how he introduced us to the physical copies of books and the source of knowledge. I'll add one more point here, is because he was 86 by then, I'm talking about 85, 86 back then, and he took a session of library orientation, what he called, for 8.5 hours at a stretch. He did not allow us to go even to the washrooms. I don't regret that even till date, because those 8.5 hours has actually instilled the skill what Professor Murthy was discussing in his inaugural speech, the skill of referring a book. Just like me, there were so many other people in my batch who was not having that skill, because we come from a varied strata of the teaching learning process. We come from very degree of professional commitments, and that itself expects, being a researcher, if you wish to be a researcher, that expects from all of us that we should have only one trait with all of us, that is inquisitiveness. If at all we are inquisitive, then only we can become a researcher. I'm not categorizing it to be a successful researcher or not, but the degree of success or not would depend upon the value additions that you are making. But that inquisitiveness was the primary context that he could instill in the researcher that I am, whatever I am. But now when we are doing a paradigm shift from 2011 to 2024, in the meantime, there's a lot of advancements that has happened, both in terms of knowledge, in terms of attitude, in terms of approach, in terms of technology. And when we combine all these four components that we are talking about, it gives us a paradigm shift in our mindset, that what should be the right approach for conducting any research. Would it be an amalgamation of all? Or would it be holding back the conventional methods of research? Or would it be shifting our attitude from the conventional method to the modern day technological methods? What should be the right approach is the question that we are talking about. Now, why are we talking about these things? Because whenever we are doing research, if I may draw a small inference from what Professor Murthy also said in his speech, that we are doing research not only to add value to the knowledge domain, but also to be a part of the compliant measures. That means we have to be doing some sort of compliances as it is required by the academic administration of the circumstance we are. That is, sir was referring to NAC, NIRF, QS, and all these ranking frameworks. That means that itself is not only promoting that we should be doing a research for our own development of knowledge, to add value to the knowledge domain which exists in the society, but also to do the same thing because it is a requirement as part of the knowledge compliance. Now, when we contrast all these things together, we come to know that then what is the right approach when it is being done voluntarily, or it is being done as a part of the compliance compulsions. Because the compliance compulsion always quantify the requirements. It does not deal with the quality of the numbers or quality of the content that you are creating. But on the contrary, being a true academician, it always corresponds to what value addition have you made in terms of quality. So this is a sheer contract between these two terminals that we're talking about. On the one side, it talks about quality. On the other side, it talks about quantity. And this is the clear distinction where we are putting ourselves in the conventional methods or the modern day technological methods. As and when we do talk about modern day technologies, we always try to negate that technology is always bad. Technology is going to disrupt. And that's why we have tried to give a name to the modern day technologies as disruptive technologies. The question comes, why do we call it to be disruptive in nature? And when it is trying to do some object to be satisfied, that means it's trying to satisfy some of the objects that for which it has been created or curated, then what itself that we should be concentrating on? Now, for this reason, I would draw another inference from another scholar. I would not be doing justice without highlighting the statement of Dr. Bhavani Prasad Panda, who happens to be the previous Vice Chancellor of MNLU Mumbai. I had a small discussion with him regarding this element. Sir, how do you see legal research as? He always used to point out a concern that legal research is not any other research domain which exists in the teaching learning process. That means you have to give specific and prominence as a step to legal research. And legal research cannot be actuated or integrated, or it would be able to compare with other streams of research which exist in the society or in the higher education setup. Why? Because he always used to draw an inference, and I could corroborate that by his statement, which Professor Madhav Menon used to teach through, is that he would bring a newspaper to your class. He would ask you that read any of the news pieces that has been projected in the newspaper. There would be a law associated. And that law and that subject matter which has been reported in the newspaper gives you a scope for further research, because that is what's happening in the society. And societal reflection, which is now being presented through this newspaper print, is giving you a scope to do further research. And he used to challenge us that you pick any page and you pick any of the pieces that has been projected out there, and that is the pattern, or that is the scope of research that we are talking about when it comes to legal research. And that is precisely why Dr. Panda used to say that whenever you are trying to put your emphasis on legal research, you should see it as a different domain altogether, having an objective to be aligned with the societal needs, having a corroborative interdisciplinary approach. And for this reason, this triangular method would be giving you a scope of your research. And it cannot be actuated or equated with any specific domain of other research that possibly may happen in the society. That does not mean I'm negating other research domains, but I'm trying to give an emphasis on that what importance does legal research hold in the society. Now, whenever we talk about legal research, now coming to the next step, whenever we come to discuss about the legal research, we always say identify the problem, find out the literature, find out the research gap, try to look into the laws, the legislative consultations, the cases that is available, the statistical data that you may possibly can get, and finally conclude with your suggestions. If this has been the stages that we are talking about, then how do we use technology? And where should we actually be using technology? And particularly artificial intelligence. Now, before I venture into the next domain of actually legal research and artificial intelligence, we are putting some questions into flags. Those questions are that should artificial intelligence be at all used in legal research? Second, should artificial intelligence would only be limited to the use of assisting the researcher? Third, or should it be regulated in such a way as to promote the research in terms of its output? There are three components we are putting a question. And why am I putting these questions? There was this regulation of 2018 which had come, which says as University Grants Commission. I would read the title verbatim, just a minute. University Grants Commission, Promotion of Academic Integrity, Prevention of Plagiarism in Higher Education Institution, Regulation 2018. It's a very big name. Now, if you read the title itself says that UGC tries, being a regulator, to conduct the higher education institutions, that you should be promoting academic integrity. Now, what does it say? What does it expect? That higher education institutions should establish the mechanism as prescribed in these regulations to enhance awareness about responsible conduct of research and academic activity, and quote unquote, to promote academic integrity and to prevent plagiarism. Now, this is the basic objective, and plagiarism is also been defined as a very notional way in this whole regulation. That means taking something from other sources is called plagiarism without giving them the due recon. But at the same time, when we are looking at this regulation becomes a mandate upon all the higher education institution because UGC is the regulator. But at the same time, it expects that academic integrity must be retained and also plagiarism must be avoided. How would you be doing that? There is a whole plethora of rules which has been prescribed. Now, which ultimately means that you have to emphasize on honing skills and putting a systematic view so that research is promoted in its qualitative view, not quantitative view. And when we put down to this notion and when we're trying to integrate the quality and the quantity and the use of technology to substantiate the quality, then comes artificial intelligence into play. Now, point of discussion here is we have in market right now, because there is a plethora of development is happening in terms of artificial intelligence from 4.0 to generative AI to future generative AI plus, which is going to come in the future. So from predictive AI to generative AI to the future, which is yet not known, we have come a farther distance from the time whenever we used to come to the discussion of AI. So the lower AI to the higher AI, from Siri, Google Translator, right now to the generative AI that we have been talking about. We have already crossed a threshold in terms of artificial intelligence and its usage in terms of service assistance. But the moment we're talking about artificial intelligence, let's try to understand what it is. There are formally two definitions which are existing at present, which defines an artificial intelligence. There are two formal setup I'm talking about. I'll be giving you both the two description, what it tries to do and how it is relevant for our discussion. First is in 2023, the government of India has come up with, because we know the Niti Aayog, the artificial intelligence for all, the government of India's slogan, the promotion of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, when he used to say that AI for all should be the motto, and the white paper has been brought up, and subsequently a great amount of development in the field of artificial intelligence has happened. But in 2023, we have come up with the National Program on Artificial Intelligence, which defines artificial intelligence as a concept which refers to how computers and machines can demonstrate intelligent behavior, learning capabilities, and self-awareness of human levels. That means artificial intelligence from analysis to prediction is now have moved to a point of understanding. That means learning by own self. So now we have done away with the predictive part of it, which was been the lower model of AI. Now we are venturing into the higher models of AI, for which the National Program of Artificial Intelligence recognizes this to be so. But at the same time, when I contrast this definition of what Indian government through this national program is accepting as what artificial intelligence is, similarly, the European Union has also come up recently in July 2024, something called as the AI Act, the Artificial Intelligence Act. And in Rule 3 of this Act, they define what is an artificial intelligence. And they define it as a system, which means a machine-based system that is designed to operate with varying level of autonomy, and that may exhibit adaptiveness after deployment, and that for explicit or implicit objects which interferes and infers from input it receives, and how to generate outputs such as predictions, contents, recommendations, and decisions that can influence physical and virtual environment. That means it's now talking into 5 steps. The first, whenever we are talking about The first step is when you are creating a machine or an ecosystem, and the machine is capable of receiving information, interpreting the information, segregating the information, analyzing the information, and giving an information as an output, which might tend to influence your decisional process. Now, if you go and find out on Google how many tools on AI which is available on free or subscription model, which is helping us in research process, you'd not only be getting the GPTs, generative AIs, but also so many other kinds of generative tools you'd be getting. And those all generative tools are not only helping in terms of assisting a researcher in getting the feeds of research, what is to be researched, where it is to be researched, and it is generating the research and giving it back to you. And that is precisely why we are now thinking that AI is not only transforming the day-to-day activities that we are a part of, but also infringing into the domain of legal research, legal field. Let me give you one more answer to this. Why am I saying that it is infringing rather? When the generative AI was curated, there was no such mechanism for the academician, because ultimately academician has to deal with it and the courts have to deal with it. There was no such mechanism as to deal with what actually it is, what it is trying to do, what is the potential limits that the artificial intelligence infrastructure hold, and that we should be referring to. Now, subsequently, whenever we used to do any such predictive research, we used to go to the books, we used to go to the resources which is available in a primary or a secondary database. We used to go and have a knowledge, have an understanding of it. We used to put our human intellect, our human faculty to it, and then come to a deduction that what is the prospective use of that particular knowledge that we are gathering from this whole process. But subsequently, when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, which is dependent on natural language processing architecture, machine learning architecture, or automated research architecture, we hardly have any control over those outputs. But this is when so many other tools also comes into handy. Let me give you an example of it. If me being an academician, if I want to ask my scholar that would you be using artificial intelligence, the answer is definitely going to be a yes, because it is going to help. We should not deny technology. We should live with technology in harmony. And we should create that synergized environment where both technology and human mind coexist. And why am I saying so? If I'm asking my scholar to do that, and the person, my scholar, comes up with an output which is somehow supposed to be verified by me, then I must be equipped to have that understanding that whether it is true or not. Similar kind of a study have been done by the IISc, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, very recently, where 552 students who have been examined, and some of the faculty members have been examined with regard to the same. And there was a reference being made. What ultimately works? What ultimately works is the output is not within your control, but verifying the output is definitely within your control. So even if you're using the technology, you should be in a position to authenticize or certify the authenticity of the output which has come, because the technology might go wrong when it is giving you a predictive analysis, because it is always dependent on a defined algorithm which has been curated for the development of the artificial intelligence and infrastructure. But on the contrary, if you are verifying it, then the objective of the same is satisfied, that it is giving you some data which otherwise would have taken a long duration for you, with the technology is assisting you to synthesize that big data for you and give you an output, but ultimately you should be in a position to verify the authenticity and the veracity of that data. So if you negotiate between both the two elements that I just discussed a while ago, National Program on Artificial Intelligence, the government of India is coming up with a program, has come up with a program which says that artificial intelligence and the understanding and the implementation of AI at every forum must be promoted by the state. And that's why they are saying in the school level, AI should be one of the study mechanism. AI should be one of the modules of study. That means you are creating artificially incompetent professional for the future. But at the same time, when I'm looking at the EU and when I'm looking at the Artificial Intelligence Act of EU, it says, no, technology should be used limitedly, and that limitation must harness in terms of supervisory capacity by the faculties. That means every organization must certify that the use of technology is also duly authenticated and certified. And that is how they are shrinking by 2030 first phase and 2050 as the second phase for limiting the use of AI. That means they will not do away with the use of artificial intelligence, but at the same time, they would be limiting the use of artificial intelligence by inclusion of human mindset. Now, the second question comes, the second instance comes when we comes to legal research and artificial intelligence. Most of the time, what happens in legal research, our primary focus goes to doctrine of precedence. And our reliance, the most reliance that we have upon doctrine of precedent is because of the fact that we are a common law country, and when we try to study something with respect to the development of law, precedence plays a very vital role. And when this vital role that we are referring to, that means we always get dragged into the research databases that we have. But let me tell you one more thing here. The AI platforms who have come up with this predictive analysis modules within themselves, they also give you a caveat that this output may not be 100% true. So you should verify it before you use it. Now, let's say, being a legal researcher, I have used an artificial intelligence or a generative AI module for creating some data, and that data has been generated by searching the web, searching the databases, searching all the readily available resources on the internet architecture. And the generative AI produced a predictive data for me, which I can use it. But with that, it also gave a caveat that it is not 100% true. That means it ultimately lies on me to cross-check the veracity of the data that I'm using for my research. Also, the interpretation by this artificial intelligent models may not be accurate. I'll give you an example of it also. Like every time as a faculty, if I receive something as a content which has been given to me by my student, I always take help of Turnitin or any anti-plagiarism software. If I go to Turnitin, right now the Turnitin has come up with the AI prediction module within itself. That means if any generative AI modules have been used, then you can predict it and you can get a report of it that whether artificial intelligence modules can have been used in this particular content or not. But if you go to the description or the declaration that has been given by the Turnitin in itself, it reads as that human writing may get matched with the artificially intelligent module based writing. That means there is a possibility that human writing may also match with the AI modules. And that means the predictive report which has been generated by the AI module of Turnitin is not 100% accurate. Now, I may be provoking many of the scholars right now to pick up a fight with your academic supervisors. But this is what Turnitin says, that even though we are giving you 60%, 70% AI-enabled data sets, which is matching, but there is a possibility that your data or the content that you have written or the content that you have generated might match to a human writing. That means that cannot be an absolute reason for subjecting any person to adverse effects. That means you cannot put the person to suffer some losses because the person has gone into that. Now, the next point I wanted to discuss was when we are using this AI modules or the generative AI modules, there is a question always comes into interpretation of any law and also the manipulative factors of jurisdiction which plays into consideration. That means now there are XYZ reasons by which the court have actually developed a notion of implementation of a particular law, which might not be the case for understanding for the AI module. So if I give the AI module some content and the AI module is getting developed, is creating a content for me, but in what way the whole fact is getting interpreted is a subjective prerogative, which would depend. Mute. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry for inconvenience. Yeah.
No problem, sir. So when we're talking about this predictive analysis and the interpretation by the artificial intelligence module, let me give you one funny incident. When I go to my interpretation of statutes class, and the very first line I use, that English is a very funny language. Why? Because in one word that can be multiple of meanings in it, and that one word is being used in what context is the basic essence of this subject that we're going to learn. Now, this is precisely why when we're referring to interpretation of statutes, that particular interpretation may be taken in a subjective manner by the artificial intelligence modules, which needs to be verified again by the researcher. So, complete reliance on the artificial intelligence may not yield you in a better benefits out of it, but rather it might also put you in trouble. But let me also highlight one thing here, that the way the artificial intelligence modules are getting developed, the way artificial intelligence analysis are being used by multinational corporations and legal processing units is showing us the future that if you're not using conversantly the artificial intelligence modules in a rapidly progressive manner, then we'll be left behind. And for this reason, let me highlight some points that the legal database service providers are right now using, just like Lexis, Westlaw, and AI-powered search algorithms that Hen Online and other platforms have recently brought in. It not only uses the architecture of NLP, natural language processing, but also gives us a predictive analytics with regard to what research we are doing. That means our horizon or our scope is minimized to a narrower version by the use of technology, which otherwise would have taken a long duration for us. But at the same time, are we contenting ourselves to use the AI modules to that extent only, or to create a specific requirement of writings for myself? Why I said that? I'll give you a statement of a professor whom I met. The professor also made a statement that I publish a paper in every single day. Every day, there is a person who is publishing a paper for the last 3 months. How? I asked him this thing. He said, my paper only takes that much of time, which is taken by the reviewer to review the paper. Writing the paper is no more a question at the present point in time. I asked him, I'm sure you are using an artificial intelligence module, but how do you ensure that you are actually giving some content to the knowledge domain, which is the basic ethos of research methods or research methodology, or which is the basic ethos of research? The answer I got was very shocking. He said, artificial intelligence modules are machines which are there to serve you the way you want them to. So it all depends on what all instructions you are giving to the artificial intelligent modules. And the moment you are giving the right instructions to them, you are getting the output the way you desire it for. And subsequently, you have to curate those. That means once you get the data, you have to curate those, and you can come up with the right kind of an output which you would otherwise be aspiring for. But this whole process which it talks about, that is it the right way to do? Then it draws us back to the same question which we started with, the quality versus the quantity. The quality versus the quantity, if that is the prerogative that we are juggling between, then it all depends on what the true researcher within your own self or your own conscience allows you to. Let me tell you one thing here. I have not published good number of papers, decent number of papers I have published. I'm still pretty keen in terms of researching, and I wish I could show you one of the folders that I have. It has 27 papers still under construction. I've never completed it. 27 papers still under construction. I have never completed it just because of the fact that I am not satisfied till now. And that is where the question comes between the ethical component and the legal component. Now, let's venture into the next domain of our discussions, because I do not wish to be an ideal person for anyone, because unless and until I'm ideal for myself, I cannot be an ideal for anyone. And the moment I say that I have not completed 27 papers, it's still ongoing in a folder, that means I'm not an ideal person for myself, because I started something and I did not complete it. But I would certainly be completing in some days. No, not some days, maybe some time I would be taking. But the next module that we'll be talking about, the application of AI and the issues that it will be raising for all of us. Now, these issues have been flagged into 6 categories. And I'm just taking notes of these 6 issues, then we'll be discussing one by the other. The first we have discussed in detail about the accuracy and reliability, because the machine is giving us some output. Those output may be relevant for us, but its accuracy is going to be a question. Yes, Praneet Kaur, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Or else I would suggest we'll take another 10 minutes, then we can take up questions towards the end of the session. Okay, fine. Now, this authenticity or accuracy and reliability is a pretty prominent factor that we have to put reliance on. The second issue that would come up in the use of artificial intelligence would be the issue of bias. The question of bias determines that if there is a definite way in which the algorithm was being made, That means the machine has been curated in such a way to give you a unidirectional output that ultimately would be a biased output. You may not be having a say with regard to the other side of the story. I'll give you a statement for that. In 2012, I happened to come across Professor Dr. Anirudh Prasad, who is a very big name in research methods and jurisprudence. Professor Anirudh Prasad gave me a book to read. It's the untold story of T.R. Keshwanda Bharati, written by T.R. Andhyarojina, who was the senior advocate in the Supreme Court of India. He may ask me to go through the book and make a critical evaluation of the book. That means to do a critique of it. I wrote 2.5 pages on the book as a summary of the book, and I criticized every element that in those 2.5 pages. Then Professor Anirudh Prasad asked me, you did not get a single point of positive approach from this whole book? My statement was, sir, you asked me to do a critique. Then he made a statement which actually I am carrying till date. What he says was that, Bishwa, critical analysis does not mean only finding the negative things. It means that to find out the positives, to find out the negatives, then evaluate both the two, and then say authoritatively which side overweighs. That means you have to look from both the two sides and then try to compare which side overweighs. And this would ultimately gives you a description with regard to why have you come to this conclusion. And if you are coming to a conclusion, then you must have authorities for your benefits, as in positives, as well as negatives. And when you compare both the two, then only you can conclusively say that why are you saying so. Third point is the lack of contextual understanding. Now, we also give as much instructions to a machine in terms of the context in which you are looking for an answer. The algorithm always tries to give you the best of the results that it always holds in the repositories. That means in the clouds or in the platforms or in the databases, whatever information it has been there, it would give you what it is available as the best of the service. But it may negate in what context you are trying to search or do the research for. The fourth element would be the over-reliance of AI and potential descaling or potential usage of the conventional methods, because there has to be a harmonious or the synergetic ambience that needs to be harmonized when we talk about legal research. Because you may not find those documents which are otherwise available in terms of books when it comes to the online analysis of a database. When I refer to the Bengal Gazette or the British Gazette, which was published from the Calcutta during the British Empire in India, it may not be available in soft copies, or even if it is available in soft copies, it may be in JPG format, may not be in a readable format or in a searchable formats. So in those instances, the over-reliance on AI would negate me or my approach towards the conventional method, which otherwise would be giving me some sort of guidance while conducting my research. The next 2 points are very crucial in terms of, first is data privacy and confidentiality concerns. And next point is the ethical considerations. Now, when we're talking about data privacy and ethical concerns, this is something which needs to be understood from a specific perspective by all the research scholars, that whenever we are giving any such data, that means you'll be seeing that any AI platform that you are using, either it is hosted by any of the enterprises abroad or any of the enterprises who have a systematic database in India. But at the same time, when we are giving away because we have to do a click wrap contract with them. So these sorts of contracts is actually giving them the access of what all things that we have been doing. So this ethical consideration would also be limited in terms of to what extent we are using the artificial intelligence. Now, the last limb of my presentation that I'm going to discuss with you is about why do we need to contrast the use of technology for legal research. See, we are moving in a faster rate as compared to the normal scenario in terms of using technology for research and particularly for legal research. The onus always lies on the researcher to establish the outcome of the research, because there would not be any third-party liability out here, because ultimately it is the researcher who does the research. And similarly, when we come down to the policies, or when we come down to the putting the accountability, we do not currently have any such mechanism to deal with academic regulation of the usage of artificial intelligence. We have a national program which promotes the study of AI, but it does not talk specifically about research or the use of AI for research. We do not have any such national policy or the state policy with regard to the controlling measures, except the 2018, which talks about ethical and also talks about there has to be integrity, academic integrity, and there has to be prevention of plagiarism. These are the two components which has been stated. And this is regulating, or this is empowering rather all the higher education institutions that you should be regulating in the means that you want to come up with. Let me give you two examples. ETH, Zurich, and Cornell University have recently come up with 2024. They have come up with their AI policy for academic writings. Now, AI policy for academic writing that they have come up with, it gives them a very fascinating description that what does it count to be an academic researcher. They say that computers are for your help, machines are for your assistance. Ultimately, it is you who have to give your mind or your brain to the knowledge domain. You have to put your academic faculty. Cornell University says that they are at your service, not you at their service. So you should be using the computers for your own benefit with regard to the development of knowledge domain. But which ultimately would be coming that how far you're understanding the existing knowledge by all yourself, how you are interpreting, how you are authenticating, how you are bringing transparency and accountability by self-imposed ethical standards. Because we cannot deter to the point that there is no regulations. There is no regulations which is at this moment existing for the higher education institution for the use of AI. And for that reason, I would be excessively using by importing an unethical practice by using artificial intelligence. This certainly would be a detrimental factor for the whole issue of legal research that we are looking at. Now, last element, what it requires, how can it happen? Now, we need to have a balancing approach. Now, this is a very subjective term which has always been used, and I do understand and I do appreciate. This is very much a subjective term, balancing. And when we are trying to say balancing, that means till the time any such regulation on artificial intelligence does come into picture, we should be ethically sound and morally strong in terms of imparting legal research. Why am I saying? I happen to have come across a professor who was evaluating, I would not be naming the professor definitely, who was evaluating the PhD thesis which has been submitted by one of the scholars of his. And I asked, sir, what is the clear description of it? and how do you see the PhD standards in India? He said, Bishwa, the PhD is only read by two persons. Even though it is a research outcome which is expected to be read by the society at large, it is a public document and it is considered to be adding some value to the knowledge domain, but it is read by two people. Then I said, who are the two people? Then he said, no, it is 2.5 people. I said, who are these 2.5 people? He said, first is the guide. That the guide definitely goes through the PhD thesis because the guide's name is associated with it. Second is the evaluator, because the evaluator has to certify and his credibility is dependent on the same. Third is the scholar, but the scholar is half. That most of the time we also found that the scholar is also clueless of what they have written. Now this is a very brave and a bold statement. I understand and I appreciate and I acknowledge, but these are not my statements. And I would not be taking the credit of these statements either. Now, if this is the scenario that we are looking at, then the first and foremost thing that I always discuss and I think is, my teacher always used to say, being a teacher, it is your responsibility to guide, not to misguide. And also in the process to lead and not to mislead. So the difference, as this is a faculty development program, and I wanted this to be the concluding remark from my end, because those statements have actually put a long-lasting impression on me, that this word and a word with a miss, lead and mislead, guide and misguide. The word, when it gets associated with that specific term, miss, ultimately change the whole prescription of it. Ultimately changes the whole scenario that we teachers are for. Or there are a lot of research scholars which I came to know in the beginning and attending this FDP would also think for the time being that just imagine for a factor that the moment you would be scaling up higher in your academic credentials, let me tell you, your students will be taking out your research papers and they will be putting them in Turnitin. They will be trying to take your academic integrity into questions. And there we all have to stand. And we can all stand with only one thing, that is conviction and dedication. Use technology diligently, because this is a transformative mechanism or a paradigm that we are going through. The balancing innovation that we are sailing through must be done through ethical and a professionally responsible way, and we can be doing so. We should not expect that the UGC would be giving us something and then only we'll be transmitting that to our conduct. And lastly, we should adapt technology and embrace technology wholeheartedly. We should not deny technology outrightly without knowing its true competence. Okay. Thank you so much. And those are the basic few points that I wanted to discuss with all of you. And there is a question I could see, if I could take it from the chat box. Please guide us through the resources by using specific prompts to be used in the legal research, specifically the appropriate prompts suitable to different domains of law. Okay, I would answer this. See, you can use strings in the inverted commas. You can give specific command prompts like focus on, highlight these issues, or something like that. But whenever it comes as an output, let me tell you, so far the courts have given specific directions that they are not using ChatGPT, even though they tried to use ChatGPT some point in time, but they have condemned in most of the time, because ultimately it gives you very non-conclusive outputs. So I can suggest Kanan. Okay, Kanan, I can suggest one thing. You can explore using cloud. Okay, cloud.ai. So that is one of the better things that you can find at the present point in time. You can also expect to have an access to Research Rabbit. Okay, there is another tool called Research Rabbit. So you can think of that also. there is another tool also called POE. Okay, PO AI. So you can explore that also, but take it as a reference point. Please don't use it as a point of conclusively determining what your intellectual abilities are, because trust me, the moment you would be going for any academic interview, your intellectual ability would definitely be tested out there. So that 5 minute of interview does not signify what mindset you have, and this 3-4 years of research or numerous period of years of research that you are spending should not also be putting a question or putting a black spot on your academic career on a later scale. I don't want to take some names, but you can Google. So many big scholars in India have actually gone into darkness because of these kind of activities. So we should use it as an assistant, not as a dictator of our own actions. So you can think it that way. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, any other participant has a question? You may put it in a chat box, or you can raise your hand to ask the questions.
Please.
Nishant J has raised. Mr. Nishant, you can go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Nishant, please unmute yourself, Mr. Nishant, and ask your question.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, Shruti, ma'am. And Bishwa, sir, that was a very insightful lecture, sir. Thank you. Sir, my question is, do you think with the advent of artificial intelligence, we should go on to an era of non-doctrinal research or researches which predominantly focuses on non-doctrinal element so that we can both control plagiarism and extensive use of AI? Because I feel now with AI and advent of AI, it's very easy to do doctrinal research. So, in order to create value, I think we should rather tell people that there should be more of no, like if you're say for your API score, now you should have 3 non-doctrinal research and 2 doctrinal research maybe. I think that might be a better future ahead.
I truly appreciate Mr. Nishant for your statement, but let me tell you one more thing, that whenever we do talk about research, there is a book of Frederick L. Whitney, The Fundamentals of Research Methodology. And in the book, he has mentioned about the constant and variables. Okay, that means what all things helps us and what all things pulls us back. And when we talk about research, there are a lot of contingent factors which pulls us back. I appreciate the fact that we should more focus on non-doctrinal research, but at the same time, there is issue of finances, time, mindset, methodology, and adaptability, rather acceptability of the researcher. These all things comes into handy. That are we competent to do that? Number one. Number two, let me give you another fact of the side of the story, because I'm also assisting somebody in doing a research on which is non-doctrinal in nature. It's about the young offenders who are there in police stations in Odisha. Okay, when I go to the police stations, they say we'll give you the data, but they are not allowing us to talk to the prisoners. Maybe contingent factor, maybe security factor, maybe state issues, maybe police manual reasons. Now, the data that we are getting highly is from NCRB. Then I have to call to the deputy director of NCRB. Please give me the data. Now, he would say it is available on the NCRB data. Now, if I take all those URLs which are readily available on the data, I would be taking them to the artificial intelligence module, and I will be curating the data, and I would present it as this is a non-doctrinal data. That also goes to handy, because first there is a contingency. Second, what I'm projecting, because ultimately it is an expectation from my guide that I have to do a non-doctrinal data. But being a guide, am I checking the background actually which has led to the production of non-doctrinal data? Which I hardly do. I'm not saying we do not do. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from participants? Anyone else?
I'll just add one more point before
Yes, sir.
I conclude. Uh, I always give my students a free hand whenever I give them a research project as a part of their assessment component. I'm not saying they do the best of the things, but they do definitely the decent of the thing, at least with me. Why? Because I go through the subjects that I have assigned to them. I go through the subjects and I go through their submissions. I never keep a tab of 5,000 words, 6,000 words, 10,000 words. I never keep it. I always say one straight line. There is no deadline or there is no limit. Whenever you feel that your paper is complete, that is the end of it. Because on top of it, you can definitely develop it. But you should be in a position to read it and conclusively say, yes, this is complete as per my present understanding. And when I go through it and I do a signing of it or I do give comments on it, then they give the sincerity, because I understand now these days institutions are taking 300, 500 students at one go, and checking their papers is humanly impossible. You would require another set of AI for that. But subsequently, if I do check for that and I do show my sincerity, if not clearly, I need not go through all the 20 pages that the person has submitted. At least something that I would be contributing, that yes, the person has actually put some efforts, because it would be visible. If you are acquainted with your subject, if you are well read with your subject, if you are dedicated towards your work with regard to the subject, you definitely can say whether the person has written it or the person has taken some assistance to write it. Okay, that can never be replaced. Your human mind is already by birth intelligent. Anything as a precursor being artificial, natural, neural, or any adjectives that you can add may not deter your presence from the teaching learning process.
Yeah, definitely. Yesterday, let me ask you, there's a couple of questions are there. Yesterday, I had a meeting with one of the young guys at 11 p.m. He has been after me, is from Mumbai, and for last 3 days. So he has created a final year engineering student. His mother is a lawyer. He faced the problem. I'm not going to details. He created a platform like digital, using of AI. Like, the name is Nirvan. So it will be ready in like they've been working for last 6 months. 3 times I asked, like, what is the, have you checked the accuracy? Sab acha aa raha hai, sab badhiya aa raha hai. Have you checked the document? What has been created through with the help of AI? Sir, badhiya aa raha hai. You just check it out. If my mother is there, no problem. Just send to the random people to check it out whether it's the document is created with the help of AI or research has been generated or query that what we have put up. One document like related to moot court also they are preparing. So like the question to you, what is the accuracy as per your knowledge? Whatever the platforms are there. So people will tell, okay, 95% or 97%. So what's your view on that? In accuracy done by AI?
See, I already said that during the Turnitin declaration that they have given. In the Turnitin itself, that they say that the language of English writing may vary from person to person, and the way the technology is moderated, there is no accuracy that the human writing and the machine writing may not match. Okay, that means it is not a probable reason. And the second line of declaration Turnitin also describes that this shall not be the sole reason for penalizing the students. Are you getting the point? So that means that I can be a writer like, let's say, XYZ person, but I cannot be supplanted by a technology, right? So for this reason, I have to see to the point that whether me being a faculty can also look into the point that the person has actually written it or the person has actually taken some help from some. Because if I'm a teacher, I know my students. I'm inevitably supposed to know my students and their writing capacity and the skills that they have. I'm not generalizing this statement because the students may not be good in terms of exposing through their expressions, but may be very good in terms of their writing. But I can definitely have a discussion. If somebody is writing something outstanding, I should definitely have a discussion with the person and try to know more about it and promote it. So that human touch has to be definitely be there, and that cannot be only for punishing the student, also to promote the students.
Sir, I have a slight. It is a question basically. What has happened is you spoke about quality versus quantity. Now, this is a battle that is going on not only with the researchers, but what we see in our LLM students whenever they write something, or the faculty when they write something. Always there is a battle between quality versus quantity, and somewhere this where we see the quality, and there is, as you said, you cannot punish the researcher for writing the quality, and somewhere you know that person is taking help of AI. So that has created a very negative impact, you say, on the writers, or original writers, you say. So how to overcome that? It is a very, because you said it is moral, ethical also, but we know now there is quality. Some people have a lot of quality of research versus some people who really want to write. Like you said, you have 27 articles are still working on it. So how to tackle this?
I'll give an answer to that, ma'am, which I have been using for the last 2.5 years with my students. Because in our academic regulation, one component is research assignment, okay? And in the research assignment, we have that liberty, but we have to take a prior approval from the academic bodies, okay? That first of all, I have a problem with that research assessment. On what basis you are assessing, because it is very much subjective, okay? What are the components? We say quality, we say literature review, then finding of the research gap, research questions, XYZ. We put some 5-6 component into action, and we to try to assess on that those parameters. But I do something different with my students, that I'll give you full marks. I'll not go into all these nitty gritties. I'll give you full marks, but only one condition, that you have to convince me that it is a value added research by you yourself, plus you should get it published somewhere. You have 6 months, because in a semester we have 6 months. I'm not expecting them to go to the Scopus and all other things, but we have 6 months time. But only one caveat is, you will not be publishing it in any paid journals. Okay, those incentivizing is doing it serving two purpose. First, they are motivated to do work, because all students are definitely after marks. They will be getting full marks, and that is a very value added component for them to pass in my paper, because in my paper most of the students fail. So they think, ha, ye karna hai. Now, once you are trying to do that, you're also adding one component to your CV. That means, being a student, what you have achieved out of your teaching learning process, what value addition you have made, so that the prospective recruiter would also be supervising you, or be scrutinizing you. So these components may also be taken into consideration. And of course, those last leg players, or what we call as the night watchmen, who always wakes up in the wee hours, and they would be, oh, next 3 hours for submission, then let's go for it. Of course, if they would have to sacrifice their component of incentives. So that could be one of the reasons that you can think of.
Yes, yes.
But as an academician, I would not say anything, ma'am. I understand, because the quantity also plays a predominant role at times. We
Yes.
cannot do that.
Yes,
We cannot do away with it. I'll also draw your attention to one of the component that I have prepared. That was a circular by UGC in 2019. What it takes to be a teacher. So the teacher's responsibilities. There is a document called the teacher's responsibilities. There are 9 sets of responsibilities that has been described towards the teacher, like teacher to teacher, teacher to staff, teacher to student, teacher to administration, teacher to parent, teacher to society, so on and so forth. And in that component, when it is teacher to the administration, that is also a responsibility. We cannot do away with it.
Yes, I agree. Any other queries, participants?
There is one question. Can you guide us AI tool for converting a thesis to APA format? Whole thesis to APA format. Okay, you can do one thing. It will come as a reference. You can use cloud.ai. It will give you the output. But I'm not taking the blame if it goes to the repository subsequently for Turnitin match. I'll not take the blame. Okay.
So they will acknowledge you in acknowledgement.
But their guide would not approve it, na? Oh, ma'am, I'm really sorry for all the participants. The session was supposed to be till 6 o'clock, but I have a flight to catch. My flight got cancelled, so I have another flight. I'm coming back to Gujarat, Kalpesh sir. So
Okay, no problem. Yeah, sure, sure.
I had to
You
cut it
can.
short.
I would like to request our session coordinator, Miss Ruby Lewis, to take over.
To take over.
A very good evening to all. On behalf of the research cell of the GR Kare College of Law, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's first session for the Faculty Development Program jointly organized by GR Kare College of Law and Law Teachers India. At the outset, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Dr. Bishwa Kalyan Das, the resource person for today's session. We thank you, sir, for your valuable words of wisdom and for enlightening us on legal research and artificial intelligence. I take this opportunity to thank our principal, Dr. Maria Goretti Samois, for her constant support and guidance. Thank you, ma'am, for always encouraging us and motivating us to strive towards excellence. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, coordinator of the Faculty Development Program, and the entire group of Law Teachers India for their support and help in organizing this faculty development program. I would like to thank Dr. Shruti Nadkarni, coordinator of the Faculty Development Program, and all the members of the research cell of GR Kare College of Law for all their help rendered in making today's session a success. I thank Engineer Akshay Chari, our system administrator, for all the technical help. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants. I'm sure that you all have definitely taken valuable inputs from today's session. Thank you and have a nice day. Over to you, ma'am.
Uh, Before we sign off for today, session one, can we please put on a camera for a group photo of session one? Participants, you have 2 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir,
Um,
thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a very prosperous and happy Shri Krishna Janmashtami to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you, sir.
Pleasure, ma'am. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening and have a safe flight, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Participants will be sending the feedback forms on the WhatsApp group. In case anybody has not joined the WhatsApp group, please do so. Emails have already been sent to you. In case anybody has not been added to the group or you have not received the email, please contact me. And please do join tomorrow at 10 minutes before the scheduled time. Thank you.